Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video, doing the longer range look ahead for the week today. It's JMA Friday, so we'll be going through the month with this update. Takes us to around the 9th of October, I think, so we're going into next month. But we'll also have a look at some charts at the end from weatherweb.net, which will take us through into the winter months, sort of November, December on into January. So stick around for that at the end of the video. But before we get on with that, just very quickly, to mention the ads at GavSubjects.com, have a browse your widgets. If there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go off and read the article, and thanks so much for doing that. So we'll start off with 500 millibar height anomaly charts from the JMA, and then we'll go on to the products from the CFS model. So these are broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period from the JMA model will be taking us from the 11th through to the 18th of September. So the week that we're currently in. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and orange, red, yellow, the brighter colours, extrapolating to high pressure. So what we see for the coming week is that we've got quite a deep trough of low pressure sitting right around the UK, centred ever so slightly to the west, but generally sitting there around the UK, and a fairly big ridge is up here, sitting to the east and the northeast. That's the ridge that's kept us mainly dry through the first sort of 10 days of the month, but it is being pushed back east by that trough of low pressure. It means that the jet stream is doing something rather like this between the trough and the ridge, and then the trough going down there into central parts of Russia. So we are seeing the jet stream coming in there. It's turning unsettled, and almost on the cool side of the jet as well with that, I think. So temperatures probably won't be all that great. As you go through to the next weekly period, this is going from the 18th through to the 25th of September. Bit of a change here. The trough weakens and gets squeezed down to the southwest, and this ridge starts to come back again from the northeast. So although we get this low pressure interruption through the coming week, the model actually wants to bring back the ridge as we go through the third week of September. This would settle things down and probably warm things up as well, because we'd be bringing up air from sort of a southerly, southeasterly type direction with that one. So an improving picture from the 18th through to the 25th of September. And as we go through to week 3 and week 4, which is the 25th of September through to the 9th of October, what we see from this one is that the ridge is going back northeast again. So there it is, the yellow colours being pushed up towards Scandinavia. The trough is deepening in the Atlantic. This is probably transitional, but I think it is turning a good deal more unsettled here. The jet stream coming back into the country and then going around the ridge like that. So I think this does turn things more unsettled for the end of September and into the start of October. It's a transitional period, so it may not be until October that we find the Atlantic really coming back, but it looks like the Atlantic is coming back there with the jet stream re-establishing. So bit of chopping and changing going on here for the coming months, starting unsettled, then turning dry, and then probably going unsettled again. Let's see what the CFS V2 wants to do through the coming months. So we've got the 10th to the 16th of September. Again, these are 500 millibar heights, and it's almost identical for the coming week to what we're just looking at from the JMA. So we've got this deep trough of low pressure around the UK and centre ever so slightly to the west, with the ridge up to the northeast, and the jet stream, again, it's going rather like that. So it's almost an identical sort of reflection for the coming week anyway between the two models. That's always comforting to see, because it tells you that for the coming week anyway we've got good agreement from both models. We're starting off from a similar place. As we go through to week 2, this is from the 17th to the 23rd, we get a change, we get differences, because this is when the JMA wants to build the ridge back from the northeast. The CFS V2 says no. It keeps this trough more or less centred over and slightly to the west of the country, and I'll just better change the colour of the highlighter there, and it keeps the ridge away to the north and the northeast of the country. So it keeps it unsettled, essentially. The jet stream is coming through the country like that. The third week of September is looking unsettled there from the CFS V2. So that is a difference between the CFS and the JMA. And the next week stays quite unsettled as well. This is going from the 24th through to the 30th of September, so we go to the end of the month with this one. And it's still the broad pattern, really. We've got the above average heights, high pressure there, up to the north and the northeast country. That's quite extensive northern blocking. And then we've got this trough out to the west and to the southwest. The colours are not as intense with troughs, so it is a little bit weaker, but it's still an unsettled signal. The jet stream is still coming through the country like that. So, yeah, it's an unsettled one there, with certainly showers, longer spells of rain, and temperatures not doing all that great. I would have a look at the temperature precipitation charts that go with these 500 millimeter heights in a moment. Then the final week, this going from the 1st through to the 7th of October, it all gets rather weak in terms of the signal. So as we're going out, extending out, we're sort of losing the signal. But broadly, reading between the lines, it still seems to be more or less the same. We've still got this area of above average heights up to the north. So there's some sort of high pressure up there. And then we've still got, although it's quite a weak signal, we have still weakly got a trough of low pressure sitting just to the west. So I would assume the jet stream is still coming through the country rather like that. Just as you go further out, of course, the model sort of loses the signal. It isn't as strong, but reading between the lines, I think that's more or less the same pattern continuing for the next 4 weeks. So we'll have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with this. So week 1 looks like this. This is the coming week, and it's cooler than average in those green colours there. So a pretty cool week coming up from CFS D2, as is week 2. Not quite as cool, but still below average temperature anomalies there. In those green colours from the 17th through to 23rd. Remember, that's the week that the JMA wants to build the high pressure back in and probably warm things up. So CFS says no, keeps it pretty cool and unsettled. Week 3, from the 24th of September through to the 30th, looks like that. Again, anomalies coming up a little bit, so we're going closer to average. Still nothing exciting really, but it is a bit of an improvement there for the final week of the month. And then finally, week 4, which is the first week of October, we go cooler than average again. So pretty cool month of it coming up again from the CFS V2. It's been a consistent signal from this model over several weeks, and you have to say it's broadly been getting all of this right, because it has been a pretty cool summer. I'm going to be doing the verification for the summer 2015 forecast later on, so keep a watch out for that. But it's been a pretty cool summer. The CFS V2 has been consistently showing these cooler than average temperature anomalies, and if we take this at face value, it just continues really through the coming month. Rainfall anomalies look like this. The coming week is going to be wetter than average. Got that deep trough around the country, so you'll expect a pretty wet week of it coming up. The next weekly period, the 17th to 23rd, that one is looking a bit wetter than average as well, so not a great week coming up there. The next weekly period, week 3, is closer to normal. Now, what normally happens here is that the further out we go, we sort of lose the rainfall signal a little bit. So we are reverting towards average rainfall there. That could just be really that the model is sort of losing signal. Remember, the heights were weaker. It was a weaker signal for week 3 and particularly week 4 on the height anomalies, and correspondingly the temperature and rainfall anomalies are probably getting a bit weaker as well. We go through to week 4, and again it's a fairly weak signal, but maybe a little bit drier than average up in the north, and perhaps hinting, you probably can't make it out, but perhaps hinting being a little bit wetter than average down in the south. But overall, it's a cool and changeable month coming up, going through into the start of October from the CFS V2. This is indicated by the CFS City temperature graph from the website weatherweb.net. You can find a link to WeatherWeb on the links page. Fantastic website, so do check that out from my lovely friend Simon Keeling. So what we see here is that we start off today on the 11th. We go through, getting on towards the end of October with this. I mean, that's the 21st of October just there. We go a few days out beyond that. Temperatures are along the side. So we start off at around 18 Celsius just here. And that's more or less as good as it gets. We do get one very brief push up to around 20 degrees. That happens somewhere around the 25th, 26th of September. That doesn't last more than a day, and then we're back down to pretty cool temperatures. And we just stay cool then, going through into October. This is the 1st of October, just here. And, well, nothing really doing there. Very disappointing temperatures, really, as we go through into October. Sort of flatlining at around sort of 14 degrees, something like that. Actually, a bit under that. And then we go through to the second half of October. It turns quite cold, actually, then. We get a bit of a drop down. Bit of a plunge taking place, going into single digits there through the latter stages of October. So there is the risk of some ground frosting with that as well. These are the minimum temperatures just here, and you can see that there will be some pretty cool nights coming up as well. So overall, not great for the temperatures for the coming month or so. The 500 millibar height anomaly for October looks like this. These change on a daily basis, so do keep a check on these, and you should see trends emerging as we go along. But today's 500 millibar height anomaly for October looks like that, with a deep trough of low pressure to the east and northeast. It means that the jet stream is probably going rather like that. So a cool and unsettled month is expected there with that. It explains why the temperature city graph for Birmingham was so disappointing, really, because with a trough sitting to the east and the northeast, you'd expect a pretty cool month with the winds frequently coming from a northerly direction. Want to look at November? Here we go. This is a 500 millibar height anomaly for November. And, well, we've got a ridge in there across the country, but it's centred to the north, so that would be quite cold, actually. That would be quite a cold signal for November. The jet stream is going a bit like that. Deep trough there in over eastern parts of Europe would bring an early winter to Scandinavia and Eastern Europe. This trough is, this ridge I should say, is centred around Iceland. So we would be getting the winds going in that sort of direction. It would be quite a cold month, and particularly at night, I think we'd expect some pretty cold temperatures there with that one. So a cooler than average autumn would be expected on sort of this morning's CFS update anyway. I'm going to just throw these in right at the very end of the video, just to give you a little sneak peek at winter. We're doing a second winter update on Sunday, of course. These are the mean maximum 4 weekly temperatures for December. So from this morning's CFS V2, these again change on a day-by-day basis. But the mean maximum temperature for December is looking like this. So England and Wales, somewhere between around 4 and 6 degrees. Scotland, somewhere between around 3 and 5. So a pretty cool month for December. Not desperately cold, but a pretty cool month there being expected. Certainly a bit cooler than average for December. It gets a bit colder, though, as we go through to January. This is the mean 4 weekly maximum temperature anomaly for forecast chart for January, and it does get a bit colder. So Scotland goes down to between around 2 and 4. England and Wales goes down to about 3 and 5. So that again, it's a little bit cooler now. It isn't a severely cold month, but it is a cooler than average month. And then February gets even colder. So by February, you're in a proper cold month there, with maximum temperatures, the mean maximum for the month of February, barely above freezing across Scotland, and England and Wales just at 2s and 3s generally. So that's a pretty cold run from the CFS V2 for the winter this morning. It's not severely cold, not sort of sub-zero mean maximum temperatures, but it does get progressively cold as we go along. It starts off pretty chilly in December. By the time you get through to February, we are in a proper cold month there. So, we'll keep an eye on those. They change day by day, and tomorrow's could look very different. But as I say, the idea with these charts is that you should follow them on a day-by-day basis, and eventually you should see a trend emerging if the model is working as you would expect. That's all in the realm of speculation. I just want to throw it in as a bit of a plug, really, for what I'm going to be doing on Sunday, which is the second Winter 2015-2016 update. But coming back to the slightly more reliable time frame, in theory, which is the coming month. Looks like a pretty changeable period. Really, we've probably had the best of the dry, sustained dry and warm weather for this September, where it has been particularly warm, but it has been pretty dry through the first 10 days. We've probably had the best of that, and the rest of the month is generally looking pretty changeable. They get a few more days of dry weather, of course, at some point, but overall quite a changeable rest of September. That probably carries on into October, and temperatures looking really quite cool as well, just continuing the generally fairly cool trend that we've had since the summer. That's it for now. It's Weekend Forecast tomorrow, and I'll say later on today I'll be doing a verification for the summer 2015 forecast. We'll see how we did. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.